All right, it's been a long time coming. The wait is finally over. I know. I took a little bit of time. I'm putting it directly on this shoulder and this shoulder. I know, but the wait is fine. There's no better time than now to be able to experience this bonus. First things first, welcome back to another wonderful week here on the BlkPrint Network. I am MC by myself for this special bonus. We'll be catching up with J5 and Josh Pease this week with an all new episode of the BlkPrint. What is it, episode 63, 64? I think we're close to 64. Lots of love for all of the printers, our patrons that keep the show going, and all the listeners that tuned into our latest Throwblacks special. I'm a little bit surprised with that Throwblack special. You really can't doubt the powers of Slim Shady, man. I don't know what it is. Quickly became our most played audio episode on YouTube and even helped bump the show to 600 subscribers on YouTube. So thank y'all for that. We're very, very close to 1,000. Not bad for a show that started from ground zero a year and a half ago, honestly. So thank you. This bonus, however, something that I've had in plans since the holidays in December. You know, I just got to get on my rock shit, man. Just like The Rock, I needed a few months to get my stories together. Do not expect this to be $7 produced. It's going to be a little bit different. I also wanted this out on July 4th. I wanted it out a couple days ago to coincide with the theme of traveling the country, but somehow found a way to get sick on the final week of June. Here is my bag of hauls. I'm not too far removed from making sure that my voice is back on track and getting it back together. So thank you to all the patrons, all the listeners who gave me some grace to produce what I'm calling as the Great American Dash. I always got to keep some type of wrestling theme in everything that I do. But it's my move to Los Angeles a couple months ago. I had to kind of be quiet about it in December. Life has moved pretty funny to where I don't have to be as quiet about it anymore. But the views, the feelings, the anxiety, all of it will be included in this latest BlkPrint bonus. I never really call this out in other episodes because I feel having separate audio experiences slightly different from I feel like the audio experience is just a little bit different from the video experience, and to have those two different homes just feels good just as a show, honestly. But if there was any time that the video experience is preferred, it's this one, honestly speaking. Still dropping audio for the printers. You can listen to this wherever we drop our shows: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube Music. I think Google Podcasts is done. I don't know if they completely pulled our Google Podcast feed, because I think that's done now. But you know, you can always listen to it on YouTube or YouTube Music. But the video on Spotify and on YouTube will have everything from my camera roll throughout that weekend of the move. Big benefit for those that are a little bit more visual. If you do want to not only hear a little bit of the story that I'll have for the next few minutes here, you'll be able to also view it as well. A big drive from my home in Florida all the way over to Los Angeles from December. We drove through the entire southern area of the country. Wasn't that bad. About 3 days in total. So we'll be going over that. Not necessarily going over it, but I just want to share things, man. It was a time in like January that I think sharing this might have been a little bit different, because I was still kind of things felt a little bit, how can I explain it? Things felt just so new that I was very excited just for what was coming. Now it's been almost 7 months and I'm kind of eased into it a little bit more. So I guess speaking to it from this mindset might be a little bit different from what it would be if it was from January's mindset. But truthfully, either way, I still hope you get to kick back and enjoy the story of making my way to a new home and taking the jump. Let's talk about the jump, actually. The jump is an interesting subject. Let's start with this. Okay, so this I still haven't really perfected. And I think for the past 7 months, I have had different answers when people would ask, hey, what are you, so it's a big move. You're out here on the other side of the country. You left family, you've left friends. What brings you here? Essentially, not on some, what are you doing on this side of town? But, you know, why'd you move? And I haven't really perfected that answer. It's kind of like an elevator pitch, I guess, but it's not really a pitch. So I've tried to figure out what exactly, I would say, to somebody that I'm just meeting for the first time, because you kind of don't want to talk their head off. You already know how I do with that. You don't want to talk their head off as the reason as to why. But the biggest theme of that has been the jump. And before this, I thought of the jump for at least 5 years or so, creating my own space, being in my own element, writing my own stories, something that I thought of for at least 5 years. And I didn't know exactly where the location would be for this jump because it was kind of hard to try and envision doing that in Florida. And the reason that I say that is because although I think that there's nowhere else that I would have wanted to experience life for the past 20 years or so outside of Florida, the music that I've experienced, the sports experiences that I've had, just life in general out in South Florida, I truly, truly cannot compare that or even try to trade that out with any other areas in the country. But at a certain point in time, I could not envision what it would be like making my own stories and creating my own space out in South Florida. I kind of wanted a new vision. And I had a couple options around 2019 when I really started to think about, when can I do this? How can I do this? One of them ended up being, I can go back home and move to New York City where I was born. I could, Atlanta really enticed me in 2019. Atlanta was a spot that we went to for Red Bull Music Festival between myself, J5, Ty, Jeff was there. Who else was there? I know there's a name that I'm missing. Was it just us four? I can't remember, but Atlanta really interested me to where I could say I can make this work. Not too far away from home, not too far away from family. I can make this, feels like a good idea. I'm not too far away from Florida. I'll be all right. Or my third option ended up being the most challenging or the most daring, I guess you would say, to make my way out here to Los Angeles. I thought about it. I wasn't sure how I was going to be able to do it. I was going to take 2020 to try and think about that and figure out how I was going to try and now create a new story for myself. Then 2020 happened. March 2020 happened specifically. The world flips upside down. All my ideas get thrown to the side. Terrible muscle in my back. That was terrible. One of the worst pains I've ever felt in the world around the time that COVID happened. So I had a lot of shit going on in March of 2020. So 2020 was pretty much just a wash on a lot of my ideas. And it took a little bit of time until 2023 happened and we were actually able to, make this work. A lot of people that try and make these things work, put like really well deadlines and stick to their deadlines. A lot of those give me anxiety. I hate putting dates on things, times on things, because once we start getting closer to those timetables, I start moving a lot different and a lot less level-headed than I might seem on show. But I'm getting a little bit better at that. I will say, for the past couple of months out here in Los Angeles, I have been getting just a little bit better at being time-oriented, detail-oriented, so on and so forth. So, long story short, that's ended up how we came to 2023. Where I started putting a lot more things in gear to say, hey, I think I've prepared myself well enough to be able to make this jump and create everything that I've had as far as making my own space. Definitely felt like it was time. I just did not think that I was able to do it in Florida. But that doesn't take away from literally everything that I love, everybody that I love out in Florida, to be able to do that. On top of that, I never really felt alone in my decision. Like, I've prepared myself well enough. My family was very supportive in my venture in doing this. And big shout outs to the Davises for also, igniting fires in areas where I kind of calmed myself down just a little bit. Specifically, Jess. I have so much love for Jess for that summer when she was just like, hey, just so you know, we can do this is surmountable. You know what I'm saying? Like we can actually put this into plan. Are you going to, put your first step forward and take that leap? That was something that I think I needed a lot. I think I need a lot in certain aspects. So the preparation to do that was something that felt very good. The fall went well. Originally, the plans that I had in the fall of 2023 was pretty much like the groundwork a little bit. Went to Los Angeles for a couple of days. Took a look at some spaces that I really liked. By the time the November came, we actually pulled it off. And even I was surprised. I was just like, wow, okay. So this is going to be what it is. I did not expect for it to be, to feel the way that it felt at the time that it actually did happen. But I knew that, with time, that 2024 was going to be the beginning of the chapter that I wanted to create for myself. And that not only excited me a lot, but again, I live with a lot of anxiety. So I was just like, fuck, okay, here we go. How are we going to do this shit? How are we going to pull it off? How are we going to be able to start? It's literally page 1 of this book. How are we going to write this damn book? So I needed some help. The reason I needed some help is because my plans originally failed after Thanksgiving to try and take this entire room, the room that you've seen in many early episodes of the BlkPrint. You've seen it on my Twitch streams, although for the most part, I was kind of green screened a lot on Twitch. But you've seen my old room. You've seen my old room out in Florida. I wanted to take that entire room, copy and paste it into a pod, move it across country, and I thought everything was going to be okay. I thought I saved well enough to make sure that that was an okay move. That was no less than $10,000. I did not have that saved. I did not want to take 10 bands out of my savings and make that just the start of this venture. So the movers that I contacted at the time just said, hey, listen, I'm gonna just tell you something that might be to your benefit. You should take all this, put it in the back of your car, and drive. Just drive from Florida to California. It sounds like the worst thing in the world, but it's a once in a lifetime experience that you're not gonna forget. And I was like, at first I was hearing them, but I was like, I'll think about it. I don't really think that that's for me specifically. If I could make it as easy as possible, I would love to do that. I think just driving was not something that I had in mind. Sightseeing the entire country was also not something that I had in mind. But after a while, I was like, well, once in a lifetime. I truly don't think that there would ever be another. I won't say ever. Ever is a little bit too definite, but it's a rare moment that you're going to be like, okay, let me drive from California to Florida, two opposite sides of the country, without any specific purpose. Like, I don't think there might be a time that I do it one more time, but that's not a frequent thing. And the mover was like, yeah, I used to go do New York to Colorado with ease. And I'm like, that's a little nuts. That I don't think there's anybody or anything that would make me want to go from New York to Colorado back and forth frequently. But at least for this, to start this first chapter, I was like, you know what? I mean, I don't really have any other choice, first and foremost. I was like, okay, let's do it. I don't think I can do it alone. So I'm going to need somebody to help me.
Oh, shit.
What you get, B?
I've been caught. I kind of like these cheese croissants. You ever had one of these shits?
Hell no.
Well, fuck you then.
In walks the only person in life that I would trust with an order this tall. Shakir Joseph, out here in Palm Beach County, is referred to as Shaq. You might have heard him. You might have heard of him a couple days ago. He gave me a hat. Very big Celtics fan. Still celebrating his NBA championship. Tried to murder me on my own show. So that was something that we're just working out a little bit. Trust has kind of went down since that time, but we're working on it. You know what I'm saying? Not anything that I had to worry about in December. And he said, you know what? If you're going to do this, you're going to write this next chapter, I'm right here next to you. And that has pretty much been our dynamic for 20 years of friendship. 20 years moves fast, man. 20 years moves very, very fast. I still feel he's seen my library, my music library, my iTunes, when it was like 2,000 songs. He's seen a very rare 13-year-old me. What is he, like a year older than me? I think you're a year older than me, Shaq, if I recall. Should be like a year and a month, a year and a couple days older than me. So we've experienced a lot of things a lot of high school. He did college a little bit different than me. But we've experienced a lot of Palm Beach County just in general together. And to have him be a part of this was also something that was very big, because now I'm leaving it and I'm going to go write something brand new for me. And I always was so appreciative that he wanted to be, the literal part of it that's going to bring me from point A to point B. And also big shouts out to Tosh too. Thank you for letting him out of the house, because this nigga does not leave the house. So there was also that part of it too. But the Joseph's also a huge proponent in giving me the confidence to be able to pull off something like this. And now I will literally have Shaq with me to be able to make this drive and make this move, so that I'm not trying to figure out how I'm going to do this or plan this out by myself for the next couple of days. I had from like a Thursday until a Monday in December, if I recall. We kind of figured out the days. I was like, okay, well, I got the place. I don't want to immediately just leave and just dive out and not have to take care of anything. I want to, take care of my last few days in Florida, say bye to who I need to say bye to. And from there, we ended up, I think we kind of differed on what the itinerary should be. So we asked our good friends at ChatGPT, how would you plan out a drive from Florida to California to make it there by Monday, December, what was it, 9th, 10th, something like that. I know it's just been 7 months since then. ChatGPT wrote to us and said, hey, day one, stop in New Orleans. You can have fun in New Orleans, yada, yada, yada. Day two is going to be a little bit of a stretch because you got to get out of Texas. I think they said we should. What did they say? I think they said we should stop. I think we should stop at like the end of Texas, which is damn near like by El Paso, Texas. And then day three, you could make it through the final couple of states and make it over to California. And we're like, okay, that's a little bit much because the days are just a little bit too long as far as the drives. So we asked in a different way, and they said, okay, here's a different way that you can do it. Day one, drive from Florida all the way to Texas on the first day. That's a long haul. Day two, you have to leave Texas and make your way over to Arizona. You're going to stop in Phoenix. That's your second night. That was also a decent haul, like a good couple hours. Not as bad as the first day. The first day was definitely the push. But the second day is not so bad. The second day just truly involves you just getting out of Texas. And the third day is easy. 6 hours from Phoenix to Los Angeles, and you're home. It's easy. So we said, okay, let's go with that. I wanted to kind of be in New Orleans just to be able to get a little bit of food. I haven't been in New Orleans since 2015. Shout out to everybody that's there this weekend for Essence Fest. I'm sure that looked very exciting. I only caught Usher on the stream. I could not catch the Cash Money stream because apparently they came out at like 2 a.m. And then Wayne did not also come out with Cash Money. So I'm a little bit, just got a couple questions there. Hopefully within the next couple of days, we'll be able to get some questions answered there. But New Orleans, I wanted to experience. We didn't have the time to experience it because our path from Florida, making all the way through the South, New Orleans just a little bit too southern, and that would have taken us completely out of the way. Kind of same thing with Houston. Houston, Texas, I also wanted to see because we've been in Texas before, been in Dallas specifically, but Houston was going to be a little bit too south and out of the way. So our stop in Texas was going to be in Dallas, which I was cool with because I have a rapport with Dallas. I wanted some Papados first and foremost. And then we just make our way from Dallas to Phoenix, which ended up being the second day. So we went with that itinerary and we started Friday, literally at midnight. I bought this stupid ass AI stabilizer from Best Buy because I was like, okay, if we're going to do this and it's once in a lifetime, let's make it a movie. Let's get all the stabilization because if I hold my hand like this, it's not going to be perfect. My hand's shaking. Let's get some movie stabilization. That's what I was thinking in December. It made its way back to Best Buy by the time that I got to Los Angeles. It was just too much. It's too much. I give so much credit to a lot of the creators that are on, a lot of just the people who are out daily doing IRL content, in real life content, holding these big ass stabilizers that move around automatically and do all this for you and stabilize the vid. I felt like a jackass the entire weekend holding this stabilizer, trying to get, I'd rather just do it the natural way. Just put the camera up. They got well enough stabilization on these iPhones that your unsteady hand should not be affected by that too much. So I was just like, okay, the stabilizer might have been a little bit. It felt good at the time. It felt good in the hand. It felt good in the hand at the time. But by the time that I got there, I was just like, okay, maybe not the best idea. But the one thing that I did do was stare at the amount of miles that we had to go by the time that I started putting it in the GPS of where we need to go. So we needed to get to Dallas, Texas by the end of Friday night from Florida. 1,236 miles, around an 18-hour drive. So Florida wasn't as bad as I thought that it was going to be. I thought that it was going to be a lot worse because, truthfully, I haven't driven through North Florida or specifically the Panhandle ever in my 20 years being out in Florida. I usually just stay in South Florida for the most part, outside of like Orlando. Did Tampa once. I was supposed to do Tampa in 2020 for WrestleMania. Those plans ended up changing because, again, the world shits on itself. So our Tampa WrestleMania plans ended up getting canceled. I think I still have those tickets somewhere. I don't know where those tickets. I don't know where those tickets are. It might actually be. Let's see. Are they worth something? I don't think they are. They're just tickets for WrestleMania that ended up not happening because COVID happens. So I did not know what to anticipate with the drive out of Florida. Because again, it's late night. Don't really know how long it's going to take. But I ended up getting out there around like 8 in the morning or so. I think the adrenaline really helped. We took like one stop outside of Orlando, a couple minutes outside of Orlando to just reset. It's 4 in the morning. I was tired as fuck. I think tired just off the I guess the automatic, the feeling of just knowing it's 4 in the morning and yawning from there, but not the actual feeling of I'm tired, I need to stop the car. Because there was a lot of adrenaline to start this up, get out of Florida, and make our way into Alabama, which would have been the next state. I don't know where the fuck we're at. It's like some shit called, I honestly don't know where the fuck we are. Shit is called... Fuck, I can't tell. iPhone will tell me the location. We're kind of close to Jacksonville, I think. We'll end up seeing how close. I think we passed Orlando. We probably passed Tampa. And, yeah. Getting out of Florida is going to be a challenge, but we shall see. Peace. And I think around by 8 a.m. or so, we were at the Panhandle. I think the actual city was Chipley. Chipley, Florida was where we ended up being at by the time that we got through Alabama. Because Alabama was pretty much like a cup of coffee. We were there for no less than an hour. But driving over those bridges in the Panhandle were cool. It was a very overcast day, so it wasn't like it was really the brightest. And on top of that, it's just 8 in the morning, so the day's really getting started. But Alabama was going to be our quickest state to go through, and we took advantage of that and stopped into Buc-ee's. Buc-ee's was something that I did not know about until that drive. Stopped at the gas station, or I guess, I mean, what do you call Buc-ee's? A gas station? Technically, it is a gas station, but then it's also like it's like a not a fast food spot, but they got mad food in there. But then they also got clothing in there. It's like I don't know what you would call Buc-ee's. Is it like a center? It's like I don't think there was. What would be the Florida equivalent of Buc-ee's? I mean, we have things like Costco's and we have things like BJ's, but this was like a different. I think people in Alabama might be offended if I compare Buc-ee's to a Costco or to a BJ's, but it felt homely. For first, we were a little bit concerned because there are people walking around to comfortably saying hi at like 9 in the morning. All had Confederate flag hats. Well, not all, everybody, but there were Confederate flag hats on. 10-gallon hats, Confederate flag wear, and we're just like, okay, it's the South. I don't really feel too alarmed, but it's just like, damn, you kind of realize that you're going to be driving through a lot of that throughout the next couple of hours. And these are states that I've never been through: Alabama, Mississippi. Haven't drove through Louisiana outside of the one time that I flew to New Orleans in 2015 for my cousin's wedding. But other than that, a lot of what we are going to experience in the next few hours in these southern states are going to be brand new experiences. And it did. I think one thing that I took out of it the most were these experiences driving through these southern states. But we'll get to those briefly after we leave Buc-ee's. So Buc-ee's was still entertaining, was still trying to get videos off from this stupid stabilizer. Might look good on this shot right here, but just wasn't convinced. Just wasn't convinced just yet. Just being that guy going out there with the stabilizer just felt funny. But I was able to get a couple good photos and videos, and we didn't spend too much time in Alabama at all. Then we drove through Mobile. It was very quick. And then we made our way over to Mississippi. Now, because we're in Mobile, we now have to drive upward, because if we stay on that southern area where Mobile, Alabama is, you're going to be driving through the bottom of Mississippi, going through the bottom of Louisiana, which will pretty much make it a lot easier to go to New Orleans. But our plan was not to go to New Orleans and go to where we need to go in Texas, because we need to go upward to be able to make it into like the middle of Louisiana, which will get us a lot closer to Dallas, Texas, than what it would be throughout the bottom of Texas, like going to Houston and so on and so forth. So we got to go upward from Mobile through Mississippi. I think we might have made it through Jackson, Mississippi. We passed the Mississippi River. It was no disrespect to anybody that's from Mississippi. Big Crit, I fuck with you. You have classic records. We'll never disrespect your home state. The 2-lane drives that we had to go through Mississippi, yes, they were pretty fucking boring for the most part, but a lot of it you're just seeing the southern lifestyle and the southern comfort that you don't really see too much in South Florida. You might be able to see it going through like passing Tampa. I think on the west side of Florida, you might be able to see it a lot more too. The differences between the west side of Florida and the east side of Florida also end up being a little bit, you end up seeing that just a little bit more. Like your Tampas, your St. Petersburg, that ply side of Florida compared to what it would be on the East Coast and through all of your different counties that are on that side. But the southern comfort that I drove through in Mississippi, it kind of put a lot of things into perspective of just how comfortable life can be in the South when you have a good situation and you just have all this land and you might be able to just hold things down and you don't really need a lot of the excess that I think a lot of the country loves. And there's nothing wrong with excess. I love excess. Hell, why do you think I'm in Los Angeles? But the difference between driving through those cities in Mississippi, just seeing large pieces of land that you know, people are living on, the different towns that we were going through at that time, which was like a little bit like Friday, like around lunchtime, I think, around Friday afternoon between like 12 to 2 or so, somewhere around there. Just seeing the different areas of lifestyles put things into perspective for me. A lot of churches, a lot of land, a lot of ranches, a lot of animals, a lot of agriculture, small towns. You could tell it's a town of fucking 30 people where their one supermarket is right over there. Their one doctor is the doctor that's been here for like 80 years. And they're right there in that little ranch that's over there. Like driving through those were things that you don't really see very often in, if at all, in South Florida. So to be able to experience that was a highlight of the drive. On top of the fact that you're driving through areas with like $2 gas. Like $2 gas was probably the best thing throughout driving through the country at that time, because prices were just so low in the South in December. I don't know what they are right now. Obviously, you're not going to see that ever at all out here in California. But that was one of the highlights at the time of the drive. The 2 lanes were just so boring. Yes, I did not like the 2-lane lifestyle of just driving through all of that and getting through Mississippi and making your way over to Louisiana. But you know, seeing the experiences from there was something that we really did appreciate, as we're trying to now make well on time and make our way to Dallas by the time that it gets just a little bit too late. So now we go through Louisiana, another couple hours by the time that we get to Texas, make it to Dallas, and we could stop for the first night. Louisiana was a fucking challenge. Just knowing that we weren't going to have any fun going through New Orleans, and this is the last state that we got to go to before making it to Dallas. And I think by the time that we get out of Louisiana, we had like another hour and a half before we got to Dallas, Texas, if I recall correctly. Shaq and I have been switching in between states. So I think I started Florida. He went through Alabama and a little bit of Mississippi. I think the majority of Mississippi Shaq took care of. I got like the end of Mississippi going into Louisiana, and Louisiana was taking a couple of hours. The sun is now starting to go down. The afternoon is now turning into evening, and pretty much what the GPS is telling us is that based on how we're moving, we're not going to get to Dallas until like 9 at night. And we're tired as fuck. We've been on the road for like it's probably been like 10 plus hours by now. So Louisiana goes through, we drive through, what is it? We drive through Rayville, Minden. Not sexy spots, I think I would say, in Louisiana, but we're getting food. We're trying to get right. I got a Red Bull to try and hold it. I'm not even a Red Bull type nigga. I'm gonna just tell you that straightforward. I'm not even like the rum and Red Bull guy. I might put a little bit of Red Bull in my drink if I want to be up. But I'm not just like hitting the gas station, popping a fresh Red Bull and like let's make this shit happen. Like, I needed this to survive the next couple of hours to make our way into Texas, because I was not trying to take this L and get to Texas too late. Because for one, we're not staying in Dallas for too long, because we pretty much have to be up early. It's now Friday evening. We pretty much have to be up early Saturday morning to leave Dallas and leave Texas. And leaving Texas is a bitch and a half. So I'm trying to rush through Louisiana. I'm trying to get out there as best as I'm trying to get through there as best as possible. Did not have many sights at all. Another 2-lane drive where all you're seeing is trees and you're just trying to get out Louisiana. Not many great views. New Orleans is way too far south for us to be able to enjoy Louisiana like that. So we're just staying on the highway, chucking along, trying to make our way to Texas. And by the time we get to Texas, it's like 7 at night. Not really the worst, but then again, it's December, so it's definitely pitch black. It's not like how you'll be able to enjoy 7 o'clock right now and the sun's still out. So by the time we get to Texas, I think maybe like a half hour passes. We stop at a gas station and my eyes are just like they're ready to go. I'm like, nah, I can do this. I got it. Dallas is right there. Shaq's like, fuck out of the car, please. Get in the passenger seat. I'll be able to hold down the next hour and a half or so. And I say, okay. So before that, I wanted to stop at a gas station to be able to, transfer over so that he could take over. I messed up on the freeway, took the wrong turn at Albuquerque, and we ended up at, where are we in Texas before all this happens? In Marshall, Texas. I think Beaumont was kind of close to it. It's like Longview, Texas. That's where we stopped at the gas station. And we were in Marshall, Texas when I took the wrong turn. It was dark as shit at night. Took the wrong turn on the highway. I was like, okay, bet. We just got to jump back on the highway. It was supposed to be a right turn. I took the wrong right turn and went down like a dirt road. And down this dirt road, it's dark as shit. And it's a lot of like shack looking houses. Not the best looking houses. I'm starting to think that while we're driving through pitch black, middle of Texas, don't know where we're going, I started hearing things from like the garage of a house. And I'm like, oh fuck. If this is Texas Chainsaw Massacre time, we're fucked. I'm going to have to Need for Speed out this bitch and get us the fuck back on the highway, because we are literally in the middle of a dirt road with a whole bunch of random ass houses. That leads to this video.
So Mark ain't want to drive no more. And you know what he did? Took us to the sticks.
Look who suddenly fucking knows how to work a camera. That's great.
Took us to the sticks. That's crazy. He wanted to stop driving so bad that he said, "You know what?
Speaking to
let's go look for the Ku Klux Klan.
The nigga that's fresh out of nap.
Let's bring Shaq's black ass, his big Green Mile looking ass, out here. Man, oh man. Well, Father, if this is it, just know I love you, and I did my best. I did my best as long. Look how long I avoided the sticks and cross burnings.
Now at this point, I'm not trying to hear it. At this point, we are 16 hours on the road. I just want to get to where the fuck we're going in Dallas so that I could eat, so that I could relax, and I could get a couple hours of sleep with all my shit in the back of my car, in the back of the trunk, so that we can get back on road at like 5 in the morning and get ourselves out of Texas. Because that's the only way we're going to be able to make it to Los Angeles on time, or at least to Phoenix on time for that second day. So Shaq puts it in overdrive. We get to Dallas at like 9. We get to Dallas around like 9 o'clock. We're driving through. We finally see the beautiful, beautiful views of Dallas, Texas. And I felt a lot more comfortable because I have rapport, for one, with Dallas. We went to Dallas for WrestleMania almost 2 years ago, 3 years ago, probably. Yeah. Because last year was Los Angeles. Dallas was 2 years ago. So around 2 years ago, we made our way to Dallas for WrestleMania. Extremely fun time between ourselves and everybody. It was also J5's bachelor weekend, so that was also like extremely fun. And I already knew a little bit of where I was going to go once we make our way to the hotel in Dallas. The hotel was beautiful. It ended up being like a hotel that what was it called? Renaissance. You could they had like a vinyl setup where you could bring your own vinyls. You can spin your own joints, or if you want to go downstairs, you can get vinyls from whatever collection that they might have at the hotel. I guess they told us different Renaissances have different selection of vinyls. Not every Renaissance has the same vinyl collection, but they had a decent collection, I believe. And we didn't go through spinning any of the vinyls because, again, we were here for just sleep for a couple hours and then we're going to leave. But I wanted to go get some food because I'm not leaving Dallas without Papados. So I drove to Papados real quick, got my dinner. My dinner was great. Jack's dinner was great. He said he liked it. And we ended up knocking out, sleeping. Though we almost got enticed to go out in downtown Dallas. Did not do so. We was like, okay, we're not gonna be able to sleep. And if we're not able to sleep, we're not gonna be able to drive and get the hell out of Texas, because to get out of Texas, I think it was another 12 hours. If we start off on the road at 5 a.m., I think we were leaving Texas at like 5 in the afternoon, if I want to say. So we did that, left Dallas very, very early, hopped on road, watched the sunrise going through a lot of Texas. But Texas, I think Drive wise, it ended up being a huge bitch to try and, overcome and get through a lot of the different cities that we're now going to be driving through in Texas. But view wise, I think I appreciated this this easily ended up topping Mississippi. Now that I think about it, this ended up like easily topping Mississippi. Left Dallas, drove through Clyde. Clyde was like around the time that the sunrise was going through. Drove through Fort Davis. We stopped in Big Spring to go get some food. We stopped at Whataburger. I usually like Whataburger. The Whataburger that day was just off survival. Like I like Whataburger. I don't want to slander Whataburger. Whataburger. It could have just been the batch that day, but I was just like, okay, this is just off survival. Like I'm not automatic, like dying to go back to Whataburger. It's cool though. It was an experience. Pappadeaux's, yes. I'm knocking niggas out to go back to Pappadeaux, but Whataburger did its job for the time that we went through. But we drove through Big Spring, we drove through Fort Davis, we drove through Van Horn. It was really hot, or at least it just felt really hot because we're driving through a lot of mountains. And after a couple hours or so, because we have a lot of ground to cover, we just had to stop for one to get some gas. Gas ends up going just up a little bit more as we end up out of Texas. These are where like your gas stations are like every 80 miles or so. So if you really need to stop for gas, you better stop for gas at a certain spot because you're not going to see another gas station that's not abandoned and covered in graffiti for like another 80 miles. And you might be screwed at that point because you're going to definitely need gas. And I 1000% did not want to be the person that gets stuck in the middle of Texas on the highway, no gas, needing like AAA or some shit. Did not. Oh my God. I would have been upset. I would have highly been upset. But view wise, you start seeing a lot of like the mountains that now we are going to see a lot of going through the remainder of the country. Because we have the rest of Texas, we have New Mexico, we have Arizona, and then of course we have California. And driving through what we just drove through so far, Florida, Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, very flat. And you don't see any of the visuals that we are now about to see for the next day and a half or so. So I think that was something that I wanted to make sure that I did not take for granted, because now this ends up being my daily life. I mean, obviously I see mountains and where I'm at all the time. I'm damn near in the mountains. But seeing that driving through now the west side of the country was something that I really did appreciate at the time. So I hop on Instagram to see where the hell we're at just so that I can tag it. It literally says the desert. So now for the remainder of Texas, we pretty much have to drive through the desert, through a lot of mountains, assuming a lot of weather changes to now make our way to El Paso, which El Paso ended up being, I think El Paso ended up being a lot more beautiful than I expected. I didn't really know what to expect. Obviously, I only know El Paso because of Eddie Guerrero, but I did not know how like vibrant of a city that it was. I don't know if that's recent. I don't know if that is how they've changed the city for the past couple of years, because out in South Florida, we kind of do have those areas where it might have been a lot more rural, but now it's being changed from like a city perspective to put a lot more and add a lot more nightlife and add a lot more shopping and blah, 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 to try to make it like a big city, like a Fort Lauderdale and so on and so forth. But El Paso was just so beautiful that we were driving through it. We're happy because now it's like a little bit later, a little bit like middle of the afternoon. We're now out of Texas after being up since 5 a.m. So we were excited to be out of Texas, but I wouldn't have been mad if we ended up sticking to that first. Well, first and foremost, we're definitely, whatever ChatGPT told us that first day of us getting to El Paso on the first day, that's not happening. That would have been at least 24 hours. That would have been at least a 24-hour drive. And I would have been miserable. Shaq would have been miserable. I would have been miserable. So thankfully we stayed and stuck in Dallas and just drove through El Paso, which El Paso ended up being beautiful, got through Texas, and now we are making our way through New Mexico. New Mexico, not as bad as, not as short as Alabama. I think Alabama still ends up being the shortest, but New Mexico was also pretty quick as well. We ended up driving through like this shop. And that's also the funny thing driving through the country, just seeing the different types of like gas stations that they do have. This one had pottery, jewelry, t-shirts, fireworks, and it was just in the middle of nowhere. Mountains all around. We're trying to drive through the highway, and it's like the only gas station. And and it was a gun shop, a tool shop. It was a whole bunch of bullshit that was just mixed into this one little spot. But it was the one stop that we had in Deming, making our way through New Mexico and then going through to Arizona. And by the time that we got to Arizona took a little bit of time. But views wise, we were able to enjoy it. With as much as what the sun gave us. But by the time that we started going down and we started getting our sunset, not only did it get really fucking cold, because you are still pretty much driving through the desert. So once the sun's out, ain't shit else out there to heat you up. It's pretty damn cold when you're driving through New Mexico, driving through Arizona at nighttime. And I didn't really anticipate that. Thankfully, I had a hoodie on, so I wasn't really that upset. By the time we got to, where were we at? We're in Wilcox here. We ended up stopping for some food in Wilcox, Arizona. And this was like our last haul before we made our way into Phoenix. So it was like another 3 hours or so in Wilcox before it was like, okay, our second stop is going to be in Phoenix. And we're going to get there around I think we got there like around 10 o'clock or so. But those last 3 hours were not only a challenge, but a little bit of a disappointment, because I knew that Arizona's mountains look real. Like, see these joints back here? Like, I knew Arizona's mountains were going to be really beautiful. And because it was pitch black, we didn't really have a chance to enjoy those. We didn't really have a chance to see those. So we're just driving through. I know we're just driving through beautiful mountains like late at night. It's pitch black. We can't see shit. So we get to Phoenix around 10 o'clock or so. I was so tired that I wanted to call it a night, knock out, and just wake up the next day, because I knew the next day was going to be really easy compared to what we have just done now today, which was like another 12, 15 hours of driving. Tomorrow we only have to do 6, so I was very happy. And Jack said, damn, you're going to leave me out here in Phoenix for the first time ever, and we're not going to go out? I bet. So he was going to go out, and I was going to stay here in the hotel. And I was like, okay, I kind of can't leave you to go out by yourself, because if something happens, then I'm just going to feel bad, because I'm just like, wow, I left you alone, middle of Phoenix. Not like it's a bad city, not like it's a dangerous city, but you never know what could happen in 2024. So I was like, okay, let me put some clothes on, the clothes that I could actually rummage through outside of the back of my car, throw some shit on, and let's enjoy downtown Phoenix. When I tell you downtown Phoenix is the booed up capital, it felt like every single person that I saw out in downtown Phoenix was locked up, wifed up, in a relationship, so on and so forth. It felt like everybody was out in downtown Phoenix. And I was like, wow, this is a nice little spot to have a little date in. I didn't know any of the other areas that are in Arizona. Like, I don't know how far Scottsdale is. I don't know how far, what's another big city in Arizona. But downtown Phoenix was pretty fun. We went out at this spot that was like right outside the hotel. Jump in, had a little bit of a drink. We started perusing around the city to see like where the locals were going to. Like, we didn't really want to go to the spots that people that were doing the same thing that we're doing, just passing through the city for the night and leaving tomorrow afternoon. I didn't want to go to those spots. I wanted to go to where the Phoenix locals were going. And it was a challenge. We couldn't really find a single spot, like one spot that everybody was going to. A good mixture. I won't say that it was like fully white. I wouldn't say that it was like fully white, but a good mixture. Making our way through downtown Phoenix. Couldn't find a great spot, couldn't find a great bar, but we ended up making the most of it. I was definitely blasted because I was tired and we had a little bit of drinks in between that. So I ended up going to sleep very well. Ended up waking up a little bit later in the morning, got out of our hotel, had some food out here in downtown Phoenix before we ended up hitting the road again for an easy. Oh my God. That Sunday was so much easier. Those 6 hours to make it from Phoenix to California. Getting through the Arizona, California state line? Getting through that state line was something that was actually very exciting. It was it's a rest area that's right here, but it was pretty much the state line between Arizona and California. We drove through the little section right there to get us actually on the California line. And once that started happening, I think it started to really click. Like, oh shit, we're here. But it was two different kinds of oh shit, we're here. It was like excitement of oh shit, we actually made it to California, and the anxiety of oh shit, we made it to California. Now it's time to write this story. So the feeling of both of those at the same time, I'm just like riding through the side of the window, trying not to show the tears that are forming out of my eye. I don't think Shaq saw him. But I'm trying to like hold down, like, oh fuck. Okay, this is it. We gotta perform. And then there's the beauty of, oh shit, we gotta perform because now we're going through California for the first time, and it's like driving through from Arizona. So from there, we're going through like the desert center. We're passing Coachella. What else was at that very front? We're passing, what does it say? The Cabazon Reservation. Like it looked like Indio, California. That's the city that I was thinking of. Indio, California. And we're driving through the last of the desert, the Palm Desert, before we ended up making our way to Los Angeles. And in my eyes, I think this is something that I got told once before, that they're glad that I'm not jaded about life. And I don't think about certain aspects of life from a jaded perspective. Not only do I agree with that, but I think it took a lot of work to be able to like find the positives in a lot of things in life. Because it's real easy to go through it's real easy to go to the negatives and try to think the worst of things, or try to put that in a perspective of it being the realist view of what life is. It's tough to try and look at the positives of certain things, and it might look at it gets wrongfully labeled as, I guess, delusion sometimes. I think that's like a 2024 hot word, delusion, delulu, and yada yada yada. But I don't know how to change it, man. I honestly don't know how to change it. When I see certain things driving into the city, and I'm seeing blue and pink in the sky, and I'm like, oh shit, this is a nice welcome. These are Vice colors. No, there's no other day in the world that you could choose to have blue and pink skies. Then when I'm driving into the city, it's got to be a sign. At least in my eyes, I like viewing things that way. People could eye roll at it and be like, "Oh yeah, right. This shouldn't be a coincidence." But it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun looking at things that way. Not necessarily that I'm doing it from a fun perspective of just like, okay, I'm gonna write that as the storyline. But what a day of all days to be able to have these colors in the sky as I'm now writing the next chapter. It made me feel good. It made me feel a lot better. It lowered my anxiety just a little bit. So it ended up, you know, being a little piece of the story as we're driving through the Redlands. And we stopped briefly at my boy's house around like 7 in the evening in Santa Ana. Enjoyed ourselves, caught up, had a little drink, and we got into my actual apartment at like 10 o'clock at night. I want to say. By the time that we unpacked everything from the car, it was like 2:30 in the morning. we knocked out, and the very first couple of days, I ain't had shit in this house. All of that wasn't here. Excuse me. All of that wasn't here. This rug wasn't here. This table wasn't here. That back table wasn't here. My counter was very empty. I'm literally doing episode 51. I think that was the Christmas episode. 51 of the BlkPrint. I'm doing in an empty house. I think all I had was an air mattress in the back and my TV, which was not there. It was over here. And it definitely looked like those Bachelor memes. It definitely looked like those Bachelor memes that they get their first spot, and the only thing that's there is water in the fridge, maybe a little bit of juice, and my TV and my PlayStation are right. Oh, it was such a cool couple of days, just being able to have nothing in this fucking house and having that be my setup. But we ended up making it Sunday night. By Monday, I had to drop Shaq back to LAX. He made his way back to Florida. My mom made it here like within 2 weeks. Of course, Justin and his wife ended up pulling up, as they were like very big components of this move. And from there, I know people say the first couple of days just by yourself is just like the most, like the most hard hitting, like, oh shit, here we go, it's me by myself. I don't really feel that. It felt at peace. I definitely worried the shit out of myself on the way here. Like, my skin was bad, my lip blew up. I think that was from the weather changes. I was just in a like, I almost felt sick, but not like physically sick to like, I can pinpoint I have a sore throat, or I can tell there's something in my nose that needs to be cleared up. Like, it took a little bit of time to get over those points of it, but from the fear of just being by yourself, nah, I felt at peace. I really did feel at peace. The amount of people that were really supportive and making sure that this was able to work perfectly, especially between myself, preparing myself mentally and of course financially to make sure that I'm also out here as well. I knew that it might be a little bit nerving. It might be a little bit nerve-wracking in the beginning, but all in all, like, I knew mentally that this is what I was meant to do. This is where I was meant to be. I wrote this, I saw it, performed it, and now it's up to writing the next chapter. And that was how I felt in December or January. And I was definitely, I did not know what this was going to entail by the time that like July would happen. So much has changed since then. I'm so appreciative of everything that has changed. I found somebody that truly, truly means a lot to me. I did not expect to find that a month in. Being able to write that story has also been amazing. Things with my position has changed. Creating new friends and building with friends out here, people that mean a lot to me as far as family. Those things have changed. I can truly feel like throughout the past 7 months, like, growth has been really, really fast, like really fast. And there's still a lot of work to do. I think there's still a lot of things I have to do. I still have Florida plates on my I still have Florida plates on my car. So I'm still not a registered voter out here. So there's a lot of things that I still have to do to feel like a Californian. But it's all part of the path. It's all part of the journey. It's all part of the plan. And I could not tell you this is how it was going to go this fast in December. So I'm kind of glad that I did not do the video in December, because it would have needed like a revisit pretty quickly to be like, oh shit, this is what I expected. It was the complete opposite by the time that December of 2024 came. So being able to talk about it from this perspective has been something that means a lot to me. But that's how it went. that was how the move went. Things have been pretty good so far out here. All of this being built just from hard work and determination feels good, man. And like I said, still a lot of work to do. Still a lot of work to do for the BlkPrint. Still a lot of work to do just growing for myself. Still a lot of work to do just growing in my relationship, growing with somebody. That was another thing that was also new for me. I guess it's like a Capricorn thing, being able to or wanting to do a lot of these things in life by yourself and not giving other people grace to be in your life in that sense, because you can get all this done by yourself. You move to your own beat, very work oriented. A lot of those Capricorn things that they write online, I guess I'm not the biggest astrology person, but it feels good to be able to write this chapter. And there's just a lot more coming. So I thank y'all, man. It's been a couple months. It's now been around 7 months since. We're gonna continue. There's still a lot of things we got to do between myself, J5, Josh Pease to now make that next chapter of the BlkPrint for everybody. It's only been 2 years. It's only been 2 years, and it feels like we're just continuing to grow, learn this, and make the next move into the next chapter of being able to share these stories and our experiences between all three of us and what we're going through. So to be able to know that we have such a dedicated family that loves hearing from us in any of our main episodes, our bonus episodes, when we had AMP going, what we plan to do to follow up with AMP for the remainder of the year, but also in 2025 as well. A lot of this is really exciting, and we're very glad to have everybody here. I'm glad to be able to be here, to be able to build this with my friends instead of being out of state to do it. It makes it a lot more difficult to do that sometimes, especially for a lot of the pods. There's huge pods that we're able to do this remotely, and it ends up working so beautifully. But I know the next element is between all three of us being able to gel between ourselves and being able to be here with each other. So it just comes with the work. I've never been uncomfortable with doing the work, ever. No matter where I'm at, no matter what I'm doing, that's always been my main objective. So that's just to come. So I appreciate y'all. New episode of the BlkPrint coming this week. A lot more things coming up in July. Blacklist 50. Those details are going to be coming out soon. We're hoping to have that list end our summer, going into September. We're hoping that can end up being our timetable for Blacklist 50, creating our 50 favorite albums after the response online to Apple Music's 100 best albums. But that'll come with time. And we're just going to continue to build. We see the light at the end. We see the light at the end of the tunnel. Being able to have a home for it, for all of it on YouTube, has been something that we really wanted. So thank y'all so much for being a part of this and helping us build this catalog to be able to make the stories that we tell something that anybody can, make their way into and enjoy for themselves. And from there, we're just going to keep going. So until then, you'll hear from us soon. Thank y'all so much for tuning into the Great American Dash. Until then, I will see y'all next time. Peace.